have a fancy cup. Mine just has whales on it.
Well, since we were talking about queer as folk, I thought I would come prepared with come and go my cup.
Yeah. Well, I'll just be glad when those whale cups are left behind.
They're not going to be left behind. They were a gift.
You're gonna pay someone to say if those cups fall off the truck, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
I take inventory of all my stuff. I'll know. So, quick story. It rained really hard and a lot last night. Into the morning, actually. Greg knows he had to do kiss and go at work today.
And it didn't rain, so I was blessed.
And I'm going to leave, and it had stopped raining at this point. So I'm leaving to go to work, and I see this round orange spotted thing at my front door, like at the step. And I'm like, oh, it looks like somebody's toy like blew into my yard or whatever. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Close the door, step down, and it moves. It was a turtle. It was an orange spotted turtle.
Aww.
Yeah, it was cute. Well, after I screamed, it was cute because it moved.
I could have heard the scream.
I did hear the scream. I was wondering what it was, but
you heard it all the way in Arkansas?
Yep, heard all the way in Arkansas.
But all right. Hi everybody, welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and as always I'm joined by Her Royal Highness, Queen Erin.
That's me, Erin.
And Gregory's joining us this evening, aka Louis Abernathy from Tomorrow's a New Day.
Yeah, I gotta plug that.
I'm still dead.
I'm taking notes, Candace, if you're watching. Just plug.
On your tombstone one day we should just put, I'm still dead. Just to confuse people.
So today we are finally talking about the brand new Reboot. Is it a reboot?
I wouldn't call it a reboot. I just reimagined it, or
the new Queer as Folk.
Yeah, there we go.
We don't know what to call it. Which premiered on Peacock today, the whole entire thing, but we only watched the first episode because we watched the pilot of the.
And it was hard. I really wanted to continue watching.
Oh, I'm already on episode 3.
You don't have to wait for me.
I have
you guys
to
can binge. I'm gonna savor it. You guys can binge it.
Yeah.
I've already got my favorites. I'm already shipping couples. Yeah.
All right, we'll roll the credits and we'll start talking about it.
All I'm going to say is any show that starts off, they get right to the sex, I'm all in.
I felt like that was an homage to the original. Just like the hardcore, we're just going to do it.
We're just like...
the opening
section... like...
I was like, I bet you Greg's paying attention. I wish I would have been there.
It was very funny because I was like, oh, I kind of remember that rhythm. I used to hear that rhythm when I was younger.
However, that encounter took an interesting turn, which I was like, boy, get out of there.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a I'm not gonna fetish shame, but he had a fetish. Yeah. I don't even know what to call that.
That was interesting.
He was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm so privileged." He's like, "Get your repercussions," and I was like, "I'm gonna go."
I was right there with him too. I was like, "Pants on, erection down."
Mm-hmm. I like though when he said Venmo. He's like, "Are you gonna stay the night?" And he was like, "No." And he's like, "Venmo me for a hotel," and he was like, "Mm-mm." And he was like, "What did he say? Did he say?" You call yourself an ally.
You're an ally.
Yeah. I thought
that was funny.
I was like, least you could do is give him the hotel room after everything you just did. I mean, sad.
What a different world. Just like Venmo.
Yeah.
last week we talked about the original and how like Brian was online and he was chatting with some guy, and it took the screen like 3 like loads to get the full picture, the pixelated picture of the guy. Now there's Grinder and dating apps and sex apps. So
Man, could you
completely
imagine
different world.
If Grinder was around when Brian was going at it? Oof.
um, I did like the little nod to the original with the boys dancing that was on the TV screen. That was the opening for the original.
Mm-hmm. Thought that was fun.
Mm-hmm. So in my head canon, I kind of connected the two shows because you know how Brian bought Babylon at the end of the original? I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, he franchised it. This is just one of the.
Well, from what I've read, there like that one had no inspiration to it or anything.
Really?
The UK version did, but
Mm-hmm.
well, I just learned too that Chi Chi from RuPaul's Drag Race season 8, she was a Louisiana queen. She died, I think, a couple years ago. The drag queen part in this was written with her in mind,
Oh, really?
and I was like, oh, I was so heart. I love Chi Chi.
Um, I don't want to say who is supposed to be the compare the characters to like who they would be in the original, because there are some similarities and I feel like nods to the original, but these characters are a lot
Are
different.
vastly different. Yes, I mean, yeah, we have the younger guy
Who's
with the
17? There's always one 17-year-old.
well, in the original series, I don't know why I'm saying original. He was
The UK.
15.
Oh wow, that's on Peacock, by the way. Because
Yeah, it is
when I
something.
was trying to find the new one today,
Yeah.
the original popped up.
I bet that's probably how they got the rights to. Like, they're not like this isn't connected to the other Queers as Folk is all because I think Viacom, which owns Showtime, owns that series. So it's probably how they were able to make a new one,
Oh,
buying the rights from the UK version.
okay. I didn't know that. Um,
I know a random thing about what shows belong to what studios.
so we see 17-year-old
Mingus.
Mingus. I totally blacked out his real name because I just wanted to call him Chicky. Which I thought was just the nickname that Julian, the guy in the wheelchair, gave him,
Mm-hmm.
but that ended up being his drag name, Chicky Filet. So we see him at school skateboarding
Mm-hmm.
in like a a female school uniform with makeup, very feminine, but physically a boy. His pronouns. You said you have his pronouns. They were he, him, they.
Yes, according to the email that Peacock sent out when they were introducing the fam, that's what they said his pronouns were: he, him, and then they, them.
So he approaches his teacher about going to a club, about changing his grade so that his mom will let him go to the club to audition or do his first drag show. And it's one of our favorites, Jesse James Keitel. And the character is Ruthie O'Neill, or Mrs. O'Neill. And I know the actress. I think their pronouns are. Well, you have the. What is the email sign?
I believe it was she, her.
She, her?
Yeah, because that's one thing I wanted to get correct, because I wanted to make sure I knew exactly,
Okay. So I know her from Big Sky, but Greg knows her because.
So, Jesse was a former student of mine, and I am so incredibly thrilled and happy and elated and proud and satisfied of all of this. Like, just all of this. Seeing one of your kids do well really makes you feel wonderful. And when we were watching Big Sky and Jesse's name would come across the bottom, I'd be like, oh! I'd like freak out when I would see her name.
I do the same
And
thing when
just
our names go across the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, but like just to see her name. Even when I logged on to the app for Peacock, I watched it on my iPad, and the typed in, Queer as Folk, and you have that first still image with the title on it, and there was a picture of Jesse. This is just such an incredibly proud moment. I'm thrilled beyond belief, and this is a good show. This first episode already has a soul. This first episode has a soul. It has a heartbeat. It has a story, and I want to know more about everybody. So cheers! It really is incredible.
I know
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know how you feel about that. A classmate of mine is in the show Grand Crew on NBC. It's also on Peacock. And it's just crazy to think this person I went through 13 years of school with is, I'm seeing him just up there. I mean, I'm proud of him.
Jesse's siblings, Jesse's parents, like since 7th grade, and just to see the incredible accomplishment is phenomenal. I'm so proud.
How did you feel that Jesse was playing a teacher? Were you like, oh,
I was like, ah! The really funny thing is that
when they first showed her and she was walking, her hair was on point. I texted you. I was like, her hair is amazing.
I'm just jealous of her because I wish I was that skinny. I wish I was that skinny.
Jesse's beautiful.
I'm glad that you mentioned that she sang or she's gonna sing in future episodes because she sang on Big Sky and was amazing. So
I've watched Forward.
Yeah,
so, they have twins.
Don't tell us.
Find out, but she's messing with them, and it was funny because it wasn't like this big funny. It was just this little subtle, just oh my god, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how they underline the word cock on Peacock. I love it.
I didn't even notice that.
I'm just like, yep, that's very Queer as Folk.
I've known Jesse to sing. Jesse was always in our school musicals and always with the lead parts, and just to see, everything just roll into place and line up with all of her hard work and her dedication. It's just incredible. I can't say how much more prouder I am.
Well, let's just ask her. We'll bring her on right now.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I wish.
Yes. Jesse, where are you? I should have asked you to join us.
This is turning into a Jesse James Keitel love fest. So let's move on with the plot.
It is.
One thing that's really cool about this one is the diversity, the inclusion, and even go as far as with like including someone who has a disability, like the guy who's in what is his name?
Julian.
No, I'm talking about the guy in the wheelchair.
This is Julian.
Julian's the brother.
What brother?
Brody's brother.
Oh.
Ryan O'Connell's character.
I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was.
Marvin.
He's the one that's like, yes, I have a big dick, and yes, it works. As he, wheels away.
When he was flirting with him, when he was flirting with
like,
Brody, when Brody was checking out Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully in a few more episodes there are burly daddies like me being shown instead of these tight little otters. hopefully there'll be a little bit more representation that even
I mean, I
see through
thought, I even the fact that there were hairy men was like different from the original.
Yeah.
absolutely. It was beautiful.
So Brody is back
As
from
the queers on the TV are doing right now.
So you want to see the geriatric gays? Hey Jesse, can we
No,
cast Greg in a
fine.
part? I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Just playing.
So Brody's back from med school, having dropped out, and he calls one of his friends, who his name is Daddius, but they call him Daddy.
I kept getting confused. I kept thinking there was a Z. So I'm trying to say like Zadius. I'm like, that's very interesting. And then because I was like, they can't be saying Daddius. That's just like, but I was wrong. I was not hearing correctly.
And while he's on the phone with Daddius,
Tommy, you need to change my name in your phone.
and what? And he's what?
You need to change my name in your phone.
No, I don't. I'm good. um, so he's on the phone talking to Daddius while Daddius is fucking his ex-boyfriend Noah.
Which that's very on point for gays.
I
That
mean,
is
it had been
something-
3 years. Like, what's the statute of limitations? You left town for 3 years.
3 hours.
Yeah, but I don't know if I could ever get with someone who my best friend was like really in love with.
I couldn't do it, but I feel like that's Long Island, so everybody's fucked everybody.
Well, that's Arkansas too, so don't worry.
So he invites him over to make it awkward. It felt like, because when Daddius is leaving, he kind of hides when he sees Brody.
No, I don't think he. Brody was on his way to Noah's apartment or house, and that
because
he didn't know Daddius was there. That's why he was sneaking out. He was sneaking so they wouldn't know. He wouldn't know.
But Daddius told him to go see him. He said tie up loose ends to clean up one mess before you make a new one, he said. So he told him to go there.
Well,
and maybe that's why he snuck out real quick.
Possibly.
What's going on with Craig?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm here. Things are happening.
What'd you do? You were fine.
I need a new Daddius myself. I need a new laptop.
You were fine. What did you touch?
I moved something. Then
Stop touching things.
I know.
So we find out there was a funny line where Brody finds out, I guess, that Noah's been bottoming, because apparently he wasn't a bottom in their relationship.
He saw his douche bottle.
Horrible.
He's like, you wouldn't even bend over to tie your shoes. So I'm guessing Brody's supposed to be like the Brian Kinney of this version. Sort of.
I don't know. I feel maybe personality-wise, is they're not afraid to, I guess, take chances. And
yeah, and the 17-year-old.
That was something I tried to keep from doing, like being like, oh, this character reminds me of this character, or because I really didn't want to compare it to.
Well, the similarities were the 17-year-old and him having a kid.
Yeah. And Brody does have a Jeep. So, like, I feel like, but I think Stewart in the original one had a Jeep as well.
Okay, so maybe that's just like a
So
staple.
I think it's just, those are the kind of things they're just trying to give you, like, maybe those little nuggets of the past. I mean, because, start with the birth again. Mingus kind of helped name the babies.
We see a flashback of Brody remembering that he decorated, I guess, the garage. And Noah, it looked like Noah proposed to him.
He did, and Brody, right away, you can tell commitment
in flashback.
Noah says he could stay with him, but no kissing, no touching, no sex.
We saw how long that lasted.
Oh,
Wait, sorry,
yeah.
I made it past. Oops, spoiler alert.
All right. While you're laughing, I'm gonna leave and come back in so my video starts.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Sorry, Melissa.
Um, he still doesn't know that Thaddeus and him are together. It's like this weird. Noah doesn't want it to be a secret, and Thaddeus is, I guess,
He
waiting
does.
for
Yeah.
the right time. I don't know. So then Ruthie goes home to, I'm assuming, her wife, right? I mean, we don't really know
Oh,
if they're
they never said if they were married.
who is very pregnant with twins.
I know. I remember when she first came. I was like, "Ooh, girl, you got to be uncomfortable." Like it looked like she was ready to pop.
Yeah.
I couldn't
I mean,
imagine being that
yeah.
pregnant.
And Brody's the father.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess this happened before he went to Noah's. Brody broke into his parents' house because it was after he hooked up with that first guy. And the mom's Kim Cattrall.
Who I just love her.
Okay, so at first I was like, she has a southern accent. Like, I wasn't remembering where it was set for a minute. And I'm like, huh, she had a southern accent in Filthy Rich. I'm like, does Kim Cattrall have a southern accent? I'm like, oh, this is New Orleans. That's why she's doing that.
Which both shows, I believe, were set in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. It is. Yep. Yeah, and Ed Begley Jr. played the dad, and
Okay, I knew he looked
loved
familiar. I'm like,
Connell.
I don't know his name, though. So I was like, but he
Yeah.
looks familiar.
And then Ryan O'Connell has his own show, which is
Called Special.
absolutely wonderful as well.
Special.
Oh,
right?
what show?
Yep.
Special.
Oh, so he's somebody. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's an actor who has CP, who plays somebody who does have CP, dealing with the whole gay world and a disability.
trying to
And it is.
I've seen that. It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is great. Yeah.
Okay. So
there was Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis is like the cool
was
mom.
Wonderful.
I know she. I was like,
another thing.
I was like, this can't be his mom. She's like, did you get it? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, it's a fake ID.
And like the best part, which is the acting part, the writing part, the cinematography of everything that was going on. That here you have her being the cool mom. Did you get it? You'll do really well. Fixing the eyeliner, giving her a piece of jewelry with an upside down cross, and then the tragedy happens, and she's at the hospital, and you could just see and feel the pain. It was just incredible. That's why I will say it again. The show has a soul already.
Oh yeah, like when Brody's calling Thaddeus to try to get hold of him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
There was that moment with the makeup and her saying, "Did you get it?" I was like, wow. I was like, times have definitely changed. All these characters are out. Nobody's in the closet. This kid's 17 and his mom's just loud and proud accepting.
I will say though, it's not like, yes, they're in New Orleans, which is a little bit more, you're able to be yourself a little bit more.
Okay.
But that wouldn't be all of Louisiana.
Okay. So what else happened? So they go to Babylon, which, I was like, oh, Brian franchised it.
You just really want it to be connected. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, because I think it would be cool if like some of the cast members from the original made like a cameo or something.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Just because of networks.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh no, I'm not saying because they wouldn't. I'm just saying network wise, that'd be the reason.
So they go to Babylon. Brody convinces Ruthie to come out.
Mhm.
I guess it's like one last time before the babies are born. And I don't know if Char doesn't really like that lifestyle or kind of has a thing with Brody.
I think she's like, I have been not pregnant for 9 months.
Yeah. So Ruthie kind of lies.
Time to grow up.
Ruthie kind of lies and says she has to run back to school and get some papers to
Mhm.
grade or whatever. And then she says she lied about that and says she'd come back with like a snack or whatever later for her.
A beignet.
Yeah. And she goes out to the club. The mom drops the son, Mingus off. I'm never going to get used to saying Mingus. I want to call her Chicky
I almost want to say Minkus.
from Boy Meets World.
Yes, because it's so close to Mingus. You know.
And Mingus in Italian, I think, means dick.
Oh.
All right.
So once, Mingus is online to get into the club, and that's when we see, what was the character's name that was in the wheelchair?
Marvin.
Marvin. Tell him to help him in the back, and he's like, there's no way you are 21. He's like, you can get back online. He's like, or you can help me and get in. And this is where Mingus meets Brody in the back because Brody helps him get in. And I like the whole, you're a young white boy, you'll do fine. Soak it up while you can, or while you still can, or whatever. Mingus tries to chicken out of signing up for the drag competition,
Which kind of shows his vulnerable side. I feel like it shows he's afraid of not succeeding.
Absolutely. He's 17. Of course he's afraid.
But, well, I mean, when we see him all these other times, he's so confident. He got his teacher to change his grade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got a fake ID.
Well, that's because he's in those are places that he's the master of his world at those moments.
He's the big fish in a little pond, and now he's
he's faking it until he makes it, and then he gets into the ocean, and he's just a little fish.
He tells Brody, and Brody goes off on the drag queens that are at the sign-up table.
He's like,
I was waiting for the drag queens to be like, honey.
And when they realized what was going to happen, they said they owe him that he has to buy them a drink or whatever. Oh, I loved when the bachelorette party bumps into the guy in the wheelchair, and he used that to get like 5 shots, and he has to turn. What are you gonna have?
Well, yeah, but he says something about his leg.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I thought he said something like, "Oh, you hit my leg" or something, and
I don't.
Whatever. It was
everything. It was so funny.
At first, I didn't realize like what was happening. I just thought it was like a random person. And then I saw her veil, and I was like, "Oh, straight girls at the gay club."
They're usually there.
Again, more of a more modern thing. That wasn't always a thing.
Well, it's probably because they feel safer too.
Now it's like bachelorette parties, birthday parties, like.
Yeah, but I also still feel like those kind of things are, you know, all these straight girls, we want to have fun, we want to have fun, we want to have fun. And, you know, they say, let's go to a gay club as a dare to witness the whatever you want to call it, the circus kind of deal. And, you know, sometimes I do feel like those straight characters do impede and encroach into our space and watch us as the entertainment.
Oh, trust me, I understand. I took my cousin to a gay bar when we were both single before I met John. Who ends up going home with someone? The straight girl. I'm like, can I just get all the straights on one side of the room just for a little bit? I need to be able to see who here would be into me.
Who's who?
My brother loves going to Fire Island and going to the gay bars because he always finds a straight girl to hook up with.
I know, but that night was about me, not her. And then the
Same.
second time we went, it was her turn to drink. So I was sober. And let me tell you, being in a club and sober is not as fun.
It's not.
You sit there like this. Like you're the sad little kid who got left out of whatever game. I don't know. They play a lot of games. Not fun.
Brody and Mingus end up making out in the bathroom.
It's not all
Where
that.
Brody lifts up her skirt to, I guess, rim her, and
This is the part where I was
like, oh, there's a piece of toilet paper. That's how stupid I am.
I was like, what? What's there? What's he looking at? And then they
I
said,
was thinking,
untucked. Again, another term you never heard in the original. Untucked.
Yeah, but you heard the tape go, and you know that had to hurt. Like I was just saying, I've never tucked before.
Well, if he wasn't bald down there, he is now.
Just that moment of hearing, like, I know what it's like to take a Band-Aid off, and it like that hurts for me. But he just like whoosh, didn't even say hold, just whoosh. I was like, oh, like I shook a little, I shriveled. It's like, oh.
Because of that, they almost missed their opportunity to perform.
Isn't it interesting though how rimming is becoming like a mainstream for certain shows? HBO had a whole thing, The White Lotus or Locust.
I haven't watched that show yet. I want
to. There was a character that rimmed someone.
Listen, we're all just eating ass now.
Because when the other queer as folk did it, you just see like his tongue kind of just go. Yeah. Like these two are just literally face in ass.
Well, that was the whole scene. He's like, now you know what rimming is in the original, and that's how I learned what rimming was.
Oh yeah, but I didn't like show the other part. You just see where he like kind of licks down. Yeah. This is a weird conversation to be having. But like,
I wish I had technical problems now.
Like full on, just like whoa.
He just spread the cheeks.
Well, I'll be coming over, Tommy.
So I was like, what are they going to do? Are they going to sing? Are they going to lip sync? Like, what's going to happen? I didn't really I caught the little reference to the craft.
I'm just
when the mom said we're the weirdos in this town, but I didn't think he was actually going to do a craft.
I'm just going to say I'm so excited that someone in the younger generation would reference the craft.
Well,
of course,
the 90s is vintage now.
Yeah, it's vintage. They were doing vintage.
Yeah, well, I mean, because the actor that played, I looked up. I was curious what his age actually was, because he's the youngest of the entire cast. He's only 23, and that made me feel really old because I'm like, oh, he was born in 98. It's 11. Yeah. Okay. But
I was 13.
So
was I.
Yeah, okay.
But I did like that, it wasn't, they weren't saying things about him being like just the young kid or the young kid saying, oh, you're old because you're this,
Mm-hmm.
I get tired of seeing that when it comes to the gay world. Don't call 30s old.
Again, because he hooked up with somebody and he is 17. He kind of had that like, oh, maybe we're a boyfriend. He didn't say that, but he kind of had that like crush, we'll say.
Crush, obsession.
And just the way, and the crush literally was crushed when he was in the hospital, and he's in the hospital room and he's standing next to him and he knows the responsibility that had what had just happened, and that basically his life was saved, and he didn't remember any of it.
Well, see, I think that
who are you?
That may be part of the thing too. Not so much that it's his first time or anything like that, but Brody saved him.
Yeah.
So that's like his. It's kind of like that Lois Lane or Mary MJ from Spider-Man. Like they're saved by the hero. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching the Spider-Man. I've been watching a lot on Peacock here lately. Reliving the Spider-Man movies.
But he was absolutely crushed when he found his ex-boyfriend, and you know, embraced in the hallway. One of the things I do want to comment on the modernness of this. While the two of them were joined, and I totally understand this is a tragedy, something absolutely major happened, and they saw each other and they embraced and they started kissing, and obviously it was a thank God you're alive kind of moment. I was looking around the screen to see if there were any people that were gasping over, seeing two men in public kiss. Like, so I guess this is my generational thing, me being older, doing something like that in public, no matter, like, so many of us had to hide who we were, even in the most tragic moments. I remember there was a senator, I can't remember where he was from or who he was, and, before he was out and gay, or he was out and gay, but he had a speech impediment. So one of the things that he said, talking about coming out and being in the political party and all of that, is that God forbid his partner was in a car accident and was in the hospital. He knew that just because he was his long-term boyfriend, he didn't have access to his partner. So one of the things that he joked about was, instead of him saying, he said, because I have my speech impediment, I would say lover, but my speech impediment was brother. And he was like,
Oh.
so but you have to understand, this is what
Mhm.
we had to do. We had to think about the tragedy, think about how we were going to access the person that we love, and how we're going to get into it when there are all of these rules that are not recognized for the LGBTQ plus community. So to see, like, to see that kiss happen, I was looking in the screen on where the doctors or the nurses or the bystanders, like, looking or reacting, and nobody did. And
Because it's 2022, right?
I know.
Well, yeah,
isn't
but
that
even
1992?
I remember watching Brothers and Sisters, and when Kevin and Scotty kissed, there was someone around me that was like, "Ew."
Yeah.
And that was like early 2000s. So like our generation has had both in like we've seen it accepted and
Yeah, in some
not
ways we've
accepted.
made major strides, more in more areas, less so in other areas. But going back to the shooting, so after Chicky, that was his drag name, Chicky Fly, performed
I
amazingly
wonder how
well.
Chick-fil-A feels about that. I'm like,
I
yes,
love,
get on.
I love the little roller skate boots that he had. That was so
Yeah, that
cool.
was perfect.
All I know is she would have won that contest, and if she didn't, it was rigged. Because that was a performance.
Yeah. Someone enters the club and opens fire on the whole club. We don't know who got shot at first, who was killed. I kind of had a pit in my stomach because I was like, okay, they showed us all these characters. I was like, I think one of them's gonna die, just to like put some weight on this.
Yeah,
And at first I thought it was Chicky because they weren't showing them. And when Juliette Lewis showed up and she couldn't find him, and I'm like, okay, Juliette Lewis is known for her dramatic crying hysterics. I thought in the pit of my stomach that Chicky got killed.
Oh, see, I didn't.
I felt like it happened. Especially, but then when she was trying to identify people in the body bags, I was like, okay, maybe not.
Oh.
And then they showed that they were alive.
I know, and how awful of a moment is that? Like, you're happy that's not your kid, but it's still, you gotta feel bad because it's someone else's loved one.
I was waiting for like that heartfelt "Thank God You're Okay" reunion, like them coming out of the elevator, and they didn't. Like, she was like crying in the waiting room, and they walked right out of the hospital. I was like, just let her see your son.
It was a nice piece of cinematography for sure. When Chicky was standing on that stage, and I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to happen in the first episode. I didn't know it was going to happen right then and there. I didn't know. I thought maybe just it was going to end with the gunshot and it wasn't going to continue after that kind of deal.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like all of that. But when Chicky like looked out, and had this look of fear, I still wasn't thinking that was what was happening. I was thinking, oh, maybe something happened. Maybe they saw something, a
Oh,
family member in the crowd kind of deal, and the um, just the way that they did it was just enough to send shivers down my spine, but not too much, especially right now with everything that's going on.
I
Not
wonder if it
too
was I wonder if they re-edited it. I wonder if it was more graphic than it actually was
I don't know.
because
I
what the
I
people.
I bet they didn't because we've had this problem for a very long time. So
Yeah,
they're probably
or maybe
sensitive to the
they were probably sensitive and aware of
going
it.
into it, but they put that little disclaimer at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of,
Um, See, I was because I knew, well, probably because you, Aaron, you told me it was going to happen. So I was just waiting for it. So when I saw that look on his face, I was like, oh, it's happening now.
yeah. I
Um,
still wasn't thinking it was happening, and I love the little pieces of the not flashback. What are they?
the
When he got the crown
fantasy,
put on his head, what
oh,
does
just
that
kind
mean?
of like
like
just
the fantasy of what it could
yeah,
have
the
been.
fantasy of how it should have been or what should
Could
have
have been.
happened.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was another piece of beautiful cinematography. Again, this
Yeah, but
show, for those of you that are interested in watching it and don't know if you should commit to it, the first episode already has a heartbeat and a soul, so you need to watch it.
something I want to think is interesting is have we had any shows where like we follow someone deal with the trauma of being involved, like someone younger who's still developing, have been through a mass shooting?
Hmm.
Because I don't know that we have. So this might be the first time we're getting to see someone deal with like
Um,
you're supposed to have. This is like this moment you've waited to come out and express this side of you that you've wanted to express to the public forever, and then this happens, and that's got to
It's
mentally
got it.
on someone.
It's
one,
got it tainted because when
one,
he was in the hospital and looked at like just a little piece of when he first came into the hospital room, followed him in, and he just like tugged she or they, excuse me, they tugged on um, the little skirt to pull it down and then proceeded to wash face. That moment of, you're right, you're proud, you are in this moment, and you tried to sign up to do it and you chickened out and somebody forced you to do it, and now you're doing it and you almost missed it because you were getting your ass eaten, but then you almost miss it, and then you get on stage and you pull yourself together and you kind of go to then associate it with this tragedy. It weighed heavy because then they started washing.
I mean,
Mhm.
Aaron, to answer your question, the closest thing I could think of is One Tree Hill with the school shooting, because
Oh, okay.
that had after effects for
Yeah,
years.
but that
Um,
was still CW
yeah,
kind of. What am I trying to say? Where it was just like, oh, we're doing a very special episode. We'll move
yeah.
on.
There
Yeah.
was
I
there
mean,
were
there was still some lingering,
yeah,
but it still wasn't like, I feel like this
yeah.
gets more of a dramatic. I mean, it's on Peacock, so they can do
Yeah.
things that they can't do on
Don't give
television.
anything away. We haven't seen any more than you have.
I haven't said anything else, and that's why I'm been quiet here and there. Trying to be clear.
um, I lost my train of thought. You
But
guys
also,
talk.
it's going to be interesting to see. Like, you can tell Babylon, just like in the other series, this was like a safe place for them. So it's going to
Mhm.
be interesting as they explore what happens when your safe place
Hmm.
is no longer,
Yeah.
safe.
Um, I thought it was a touching moment when the drag queen that was hosting the show was
Oh,
naming the people that were either passed out or injured, or
Mhm.
and she said, they're not us or their family. Don't say anything. Like,
It's
and they
still
were like pushing her away. I was like, don't push her away. She can name these people, so they're not Jane Does or John Does.
mhm.
right, but at the same time, the nurse did say, "You're no good to them if you bleed out."
Mm.
So
Oh,
she
was
had
she
to,
shot?
yeah, she had to be
Yeah.
taken care of as well. it's just, this is, I couldn't even imagine, like, with the Pulse shooting. After the Pulse shooting, I remember going to the city and going to a bar, and it was a bar that I wanted to go in. There are a few bars in the city that I wanted to frequent, but they were either jam packed or whatever. And I just remember going into this one particular bar that was in a basement. It was really cool. It was like the place to kind of do. And I remember looking around, and this is right after the Pulse shooting, looking around for an exit, a second exit. And there wasn't. And there was just one way out. And if something happened, it was going to be an issue. And I left because I just felt a little uncomfortable. These moments really do make you think a little differently.
Oh, after the Aurora shooting, anytime I'm in a movie theater, I look like,
Correct.
right, there's the exit. If I need to, I'm just, and that's sad. Instead of
Very much so.
our politicians doing something to make us safer, they're expecting us to figure it out ourselves, pretty much.
So yeah, I thought it was a great first episode.
Oh, like this was I needed a show like this. This is what I was hoping Gossip Girl 2.0 was going to be more like. Not the sex part, but just the diversity and the inclusion, and I just thought it was going to be. Well, yeah, but the story, like, it just feels like Gossip Girl was just season 7. Like, it didn't feel different to me. This is giving me what I needed from Gossip Girl.
Okay, maybe Gossip Girl.
If that makes sense. Because I haven't watched past episode 5. I got bored.
All right. Well, you have anything else to say about the first episode?
I don't know, who is your favorite character?
That's not fair. You know I love Justy or Ruthie.
I'm just saying, you gotta pick.
Favorite? Because I want to know more about Mingus, and I want to know more about Brody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably me like starting to ship them in my head. But then I'm like, but then what happens with Noah? And then there's like this love triangle, and then I'm like, well, maybe they could be a throuple once he turns 18.
Oh my god, I thought the same thing. I was like, I wonder if this is going to lead to like a throuple.
You just want your shows to have a legitimate throuple.
I was hoping Days would go that way. I was like, ooh, come on, Days. And they didn't. But yeah, I like Ruthie. I really like her a lot. And I like Noah.
Okay. Yeah, I like Noah. And he's cute.
He is cute. More like delicious. Yeah, just. I mean, the entire cast is very attractive.
What about you, Greg?
Not that looks better, you know.
At Jesse James Keitel. I'm a fan.
That's the only character you care about.
At Jesse James Keitel.
Is there anything you hope to see will happen?
I kind of am enjoying the dynamic that's happening between Jesse's character and Jesse's wife. And I'm very interested to see how this, you had this brief moment of Jesse's character being the professor, the teacher, and then the mom, or mom to be, and then the party girl. And it all I think there's going to be a tug of war.
I clocked that bump of coke she did at the bar.
Yeah.
You're a mom.
Yeah, I think that there's a tug of war that is going to happen, and the shooting is going to pull the rope one way or the other. And I'm interested to see how that's going to develop.
I feel like the natural progression is going to be a rebuilding of the club, and then people being afraid to go back. And I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be like their journey of trying to get past this trauma and going back and reclaiming it and creating a new safe space for everybody.
I want to see the two, like Noah or Mingus mom and then Brody's mom. I want to see them interact
Julia
because I feel
Lewis
like
and
that.
Control.
Yes, because they're on the spectrum of being a parent. They're vastly different.
Yeah.
Even in like
Honestly, it seems like Julia Lewis's mom is more attentive.
yeah. And the other, yeah.
Kim Cattrall was like, "You're getting blood on my carpets."
I liked when she was. I'm just holding the gun. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to watch the rest of the series. I'm gonna try and watch it slowly because I don't want to wait a year for the next one.
Well, we didn't rate the episode.
10.
10.
I was about to say 10. If you didn't give it a 10, I was going to come through that screen.
I dare I say it was better.
Oh, in terms of, I felt more connected to these characters than I did in the original series.
See, I don't know if it's just because it's more modern and
I feel like the original series, I feel like they were a little bit more superficial, and you kind of didn't get their soul as much. And with this one, just one episode, you got the back and forth. You got the, hey, I'm gay, I'm fabulous, I'm supposed to be this, but then that's with one cheek, and then with the other cheek, it's like, yeah, I dropped out of school, I've dropped out of medical school, and I'm breaking back into my parents' house. But it's like, hi, Mom, hi, Dad.
Yeah, I feel like the original, like, it was groundbreaking for its time and for what it was, and it definitely made strides as far as, representation.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really hold up with today's world.
No, not at all.
And it shouldn't. It was 22 years ago. So yeah, I guess it's not really fair to compare because it was important for its time.
Right.
So I won't even do that. It was really good. It was a 10.
I don't have any problem comparing the two just because of time. This one was better.
Okay.
I don't feel like the other one represented all the gays of that time.
It didn't.
And that's where I feel like this one does represent the gays of our time.
It felt more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we were just to go to a club now,
yes,
you would see that mixture of people.
Whereas if you went to a club on the original Queers Folk, I want to say Queers as Folks too, like, they're all perfection.
Yeah.
The only one that was not perfection would have been Ted.
Mm-hmm.
But that was his character. This one, you saw all different types of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were in Philly and we went to the club upstairs, there were all different types of people that were there, and it was great to see.
And I said I noticed a pattern, and I said it to Greg. I was like, "There's a lot of 50-plus-year-olds with like 20-something-year-olds." Like, I kept seeing like these pairs, and I was like, And I saw more than one. And I kind of, I won't do that. I was going to say I kind of felt like one of those pairs. Look at that face.
First of all, thanks a lot, because I was thinking that while it was happening, so that's why I made sure I stayed away from you, because I didn't want one of those people to think that that's what was going on. But listen, honey, I look a little bit younger than I actually am. So,
love you.
No.
It's only because there's a new iPhone coming out soon. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
When you realize you got to give your sugar daddy some sugar.
It was Saturday night. A little sugar. And it was an early Saturday night, so they probably with the sugar daddy, and then they were bringing them home and then going out to the real club.
Probably. That's probably what the line was outside when we left. They took them home and came back.
All right, let's put you to bed. I'll be back later.
Thank you very much. Now, when you go out, you be careful. You make sure you travel in pairs, and you don't leave your drink on the counter unattended.
Okay, Daddy slips melatonin in his mouth.
That's all you'd have to do to me nowadays. Oh, here, just give him melatonin.
Yeah, same.
Out.
But
Love my melatonin.
me too.
You can be a sponsor, melatonin.
Puts you to sleep faster than this podcast.
You asshole.
All right, on that note, thank you for joining us for another Pride edition of Queers and Soaps.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Please
at
join.
Jesse James Keitel.
That's not your at, though.
At Jesse James Keitel. You're not following him, you have to follow him. I'm going to make him a superstar.
Follow us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps, and we will see you next time. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.